Hey beautiful people, my name is Shelly and this is my channel Shell Space. So today I'm here to talk to you about my February wrap up. February was not the best month for reading. I mean, I got a couple of good reads in and a couple of bad reads in, but overall it was okay. I think I was really distracted in February, to be honest. I fell into a big TikTok hole. I don't know, I wasn't in the mood to read as much as I usually am. I was just in the mood for mindless scrolling, to be honest. It is what it is, but I did finish 4 books this month. Like I mentioned, some were good and some were not good. So let's get started with the first book that I read. The first book that I finished in the month is Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. This was actually a reread for me. I listened to the audiobook mainly because I was going to do a buddy read with another YouTuber, but life got in the way, so we were unable to continue on with our buddy read. So yeah, I reread Of Darkness and Light. It's a self-pub darling. I will be perfectly honest, I wasn't too wowed by this book the first time around, and I have similar thoughts the second time. It was just too familiar. The beginning was very much like Eragon and Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time all mashed up into one. And then we enter the Lord of the Rings kind of travel quest with still like a little bit of Wheel of Time. And then the dragon egg of like Eragon. It was just a mashup of a lot of classics. And I enjoyed the writing style. I thought he was a very good writer, a very good author. But I just wish he kind of had his own voice, had his own idea. Like, I mean, they are his own ideas, but like maybe just distance himself from very popular books a little bit. But I have heard that his other books going forward are just absolutely breathtaking. And I did read his novella The Fall as well, and that was a really, really good entry in the series. Once we like get our ducks in order and we kind of figure things out, we will be continuing on with this series, and I have to read The Fall again, reread The Fall again, before I continue on with Of Darkness and Light, whenever that will be. But it will be soon. Anyways, so yeah, I believe I gave this 3.5 stars. And I think that's the same rating that I gave it the first time I read it. So nothing has changed there. But I do, like I said, if you like dragons and dragon riders and that classic fantasy lore, I highly recommend this series for you to check out. The next book I finished in February is The Last Hero by Lyndon A. Lewis. I want to see Lyndon E. Lewis, but it's Lyndon A. Lewis every single time. I'm so sorry. This is the conclusion of the First Sister trilogy. I really, really loved the First Sister and the Second Rebel. I thought they were both really great books. This one, I enjoyed it. I did. I just felt like too much was happening and too much was being resolved all at once. And I kind of didn't like where our characters went. It was still a solid read. It just wasn't that like ending that I really, really hoped for. And I was really hoping that this book would like make it one of my favorite series of all time. But unfortunately, it just didn't reach that status. But it was still really, really solid read, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm happy that I read it. So I can't really say much about it because it is the third in the series, but it's space opera, queer, non-binary representation, a lot of like mental health issue reps. The world is very similar to Red Rising, whereas like very Roman inspired, but also we're kind of out in the universe, living on different planets, living in different solar systems. So it's very much like that aspect. But it's very different. So it's not like Red Rising. So if you want to pick up something like Red Rising, this is not like it. It is similar style of world, but not story. So I highly recommend it. They're a very quick read. Actually, although this book looks short, it is a very big book. I think it's like 600 pages. Yeah, it's about 600 pages. So yeah, unfortunately, it didn't hit the landing, but I still really enjoyed it. It was still a solid read. And I will always recommend this book series to anybody who loves sci-fi and is looking for this type of book. The next book I read is Paradise 1 by David Wellington. This took me like a month to read, and I'm not sure exactly why. It wasn't a bad book per se. Like I said before, I just didn't feel like reading very much in February. So this book actually took me like a month to read. And it is advertised as like a space horror, but it is not a space horror. I mean, it is kind of, it's creepy, but it's not like the space horror that I was anticipating that it would be. Like, I thought that I was going to be too scared to read this at nighttime, and that I would have to have someone with me at all times, and I would be afraid to fall asleep, and it wasn't like that at all. It's weird. It's creepy for sure. There's a lot of weird, creepy things. I really liked it. It's a very quick read, very accessible. The characters were really enjoyable. I loved how humorous this book was, but there was just so much that happened, and it is a really thick book, and I feel that it could have been cut down probably about 100, like 50 to 100 pages, even like 150 pages, because it was action packed, one thing after another, constantly moving, constantly going, something's happening. And I felt like maybe it could have been like shortened a little bit just to like get the same information with it in less time. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's very quick, accessible read. I think I gave it about 4 stars. So if you're looking for like something really like bingeable and really easy to read and just like something to escape into, I highly recommend Paradise 1 by David Wellington. Last but not least, well, I should say, the last book that I just finished like yesterday was kind of like an impromptu read. Like, I wasn't planning to read this, but I totally like jumped on this bandwagon because of all the hype of the new book that's being released. And that is House of Breath, Sky and Breath. I hate these titles. I hate them with a passion. By Sarah J. Maas. And this is a big book. I read the first book in the Crescent City trilogy or series or whatever it is when it came out, and I was like, it's a solid read. I didn't love it as much as everybody else did, but I'm like, yeah, it's entertaining. It does what it does. But I was still kind of like on the fence whether to continue or not. And then I saw the reviews of this book, and they were not good. They were not good. So I just forgot about it. And then the new book came out. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm really curious. And I heard that a lot of people were like super excited about it. So I'm like, okay. So I'm going to read it. I hated this book. And I used to be a big Sarah J. Maas fan. I loved her other work, especially the Throne of Glass series. I was like an OG Throne of Glass series fan. I try not to talk negatively about books on this channel because people have different opinions, people have different likes, and also the author worked really, really hard on these books. Some of them are like passion pieces, so I feel bad about trashing these books when, you know, so many emotions are involved, and I personally don't like it when people trash the books that I like, so vice versa. You know what I mean? Treat people how you like to be treated, but nothing can stop the fact that I really did not like this book at all. I was going to continue on with this book in the spring. I have it. It's right here. It's really pretty. I was going to continue on with this book, but my God, this book was big. Like, it's so pretty, don't get me wrong, but I could barely hold it with one hand. And if this was full of fluff and filler, I can only imagine how much this one is full of fluff and filler. And I totally understand why you might love it, and I respect your opinion, but it is my opinion, and that's all I have to say. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So let me know down below if you read this book, if you're going to continue on. I'm really curious because I honestly don't know what to do. I don't know if I want to jump into another, like, what is this? 900-page book of the same thing that was in this book. Like, I really don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I rated this 2 stars. I've never given a book 2 stars in my life. Actually, no, that's a lie. I probably have, but I'm very generous when it comes to stars, to rating, and I gave this book 2 stars because I just could not. I could not. There was so much wrong with this book, and I just couldn't. I don't know. Anyway, that's really sad. Really, really sad. Because I had such a really bad reading experience, I decided to pick up The Wall of Storms by Ken Liu. I'm like this far into it. I needed something a little bit more complex with a little bit more thought. yeah, like I said, I'm only in the second chapter. I'm very much in the early stages of the book, and it is so much of a breath of fresh air after that. So yeah, I'm excited to continue on with the series, and hopefully this will be a favorite, because I really need a favorite. I really need a new favorite. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. You can always find me on Instagram and Goodreads. I'm always there, mostly on Goodreads. I'm pretty bad at posting on Instagram, to be honest, but I'm mostly on Goodreads. Oh, and if you like this video, think about giving it a big old like and think about subscribing. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.